Hello, I'm Beth Joey and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, welcome. This is the channel where I paint my face, turn my camera on, and talk about books. Now, 2021 was the year where I got back into reading like a train hitting the tracks. It was nuts. I went absolutely ballistic for reading, and as you can expect, I decided to buy a lot of books as well. So there are a ton of 2021 releases that I still haven't read yet, and I am going to go through them in this video today. We have Defy the Night by Brigid Kemmerer. The only reason I haven't read this is because it was in a Fairy Loot subscription box. I believe it was Fairy Loot. And when I don't tend to pick the book myself, it tends to take me a little bit longer to actually read it. Next up, we have Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McConaghy. The reason why I haven't read this yet is because it is brand new. This only actually arrived a couple of weeks ago, so I haven't had a chance to pick it up. Next up, we have Witches Steeped in Gold by Ciannon Smart, which I believe is how you pronounce that name. Another fantasy book with just an incredible cover. I mean, look at that. It's just gorgeous. The only reason I haven't read this yet is because I've been really loving the fantasy romances for the past year, and there's no obvious romance in this as far as I know, so that's just stopped me from picking it up. Next up, we have the X Hex by Erin Sterling, which I bought because I saw it in a Book of the Month box, and obviously Book of the Month doesn't ship to the UK, so I couldn't get it through that, but it was really interesting, so I wanted to give it a go. The only reason I haven't read this yet is because it is set in Halloween time, so I of course want to save it for spooky season. Next up, we have A Marvellous Light by Freya Marske, which the only reason I haven't read this yet, again, it was received in a subscription box. I think this one was Illumicrate. So yeah, I haven't picked it up yet, but it is another fantasy. It's an LGBT fantasy, so I am determined to pick it up soon because romance fantasy is where I'm at the moment. Next up, we have The Heart Principle by Helen Hoang, which is the third book in this sort of companion novel series, starting with Stella Lane in The Kiss Quotient, and then a girl named Esme, I think, in The Bride Test. Now, the only reason I haven't read this is because I stupidly looked at some reviews of the book before I actually picked it up, and people said it was more heavy-hitting than it was romance, more contemporary than romance, and I really just wanted romance from it. I wanted the same thing that I got from the two previous books, so this book scares me because I'm worried that I won't like it, and I don't want to not like it because I loved its predecessors so much. For this next book, I am 100% going to pronounce the author's name wrong, so I'm so sorry, but it is How Beautiful We Were by Mbue. How Beautiful We Were, I believe, is contemporary. I don't know much about it. I received it in a book subscription box, but it was one of my feminist ones rather than the sort of fantasy ones, so the ambition to read it just hasn't been there. I don't know anything about it, so I have no prejudice towards it. It's not been fantasy, it's not heavy on the romance, it's not a mystery thriller, so it doesn't tend to sit where I like to read, so I've just been delaying it. Next, we have The Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which I am waiting to pick up until the third one, The Final Gambit, comes out because I absolutely loved the first one, and I know I'm going to struggle if I read the second one and there's a cliffhanger and I can't get to the third one because it's not out yet, so I want to wait until the third one comes out so I can just sash them in one weekend. Maybe make a vlog of it, of reading 3 books in a weekend, we'll see. Next up, we have The Audacity by Katherine Ryan, which is another completely new book. I bought this in a very recent book haul, which of course I will link. Next up, we have Within These Wicked Walls by Lauren Blackwood, which I believe is a fantasy romance. I hate this little sticker on the bottom here, but I can't take it off, so I'm just stuck with it. Again, this is a book subscription box, so I haven't read it yet, but it is only little, so I reckon I'll probably pick it up soon because little reads are the easiest reads. Next, we have These Holy Vows by Lexi Ryan, another book subscription box. I really need to start making a dent in some book subscription boxes. I think this was a Fairy Loot one, but I believe it's part of a series, so I am sort of nervous about that because I've got so many series that I've got going at the moment that I'm just completely swamped. Then we have Anything Could Happen by Lucy Diamond. Sorry for any noise in the background, Ben is cooking dinner. Which I believe is a romance book. This is brand new, Ben bought it for me, so that's the entire reason why I haven't read it yet. It's brand new. Next up, we have The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox, which is a romance set at Christmas. So this is a seasonal book that I want to wait until Christmas before I read so I can put it in a Christmas video. So yeah, that's the entire reason why I haven't read this one yet. Then we have Year of the Reaper by Makiia Lucier. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. This is a very recent addition to an Illumicrate subscription box, I believe. Nope, that's wrong, Fairy Loot. So yeah, I haven't read it because it's brand new. I haven't read it because it's a subscription box, so I haven't had that impulse to pick it up myself, and hopefully I'll pick it up soon. Next up, we have Not a Happy Family by Shari Lapena, which I have no excuse for not having read yet. It is not new. I've had it for ages. It is a mystery, so it's right up my alley. It wasn't a subscription box. I bought it myself. I have no excuse. It's like a Knives Out sort of style thing, and I loved Knives Out, the movie, so I have no excuse for not having read this yet. Next up, we have Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber, which I got in a subscription box as well. I believe this one is Fairy Loot. Yes, it is. And my entire reason for not having read it is because I haven't finished the Caraval series. I haven't read the final book, which I think is called Finale. So I need to read that because apparently there's a couple of spoilers in this that will give away the ending of that, and I want to get that done first. So yeah, that's why I haven't read this yet. Then we have The Startup Wife by Tahmima Anam, which again, my entire reason for not reading it yet is because it was in a book subscription box. It was in my feminist book subscription box, so I believe it's like a contemporary book, which is not what I tend to gravitate towards unless it's romance. Next up, we have Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is another one where I have absolutely no excuse. I bought it the exact same time as I bought Not a Happy Family by Shari Lapena, so it was a purchase that I made myself, that I made ages ago, except the added thing with this one is that I actually really like Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing. I loved The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, so I just don't know why I haven't gravitated. Maybe it's because this was so hyped up and I'm worried that it won't live up to that, or it won't live up to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but we'll see. I need to read this. Next up, we have Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. This is a seasonal read. This is around the time of Christmas, so I am waiting for Christmas, and it is a romance as well. So that's why I haven't read it yet. It's a very shiny cover, which I'm not liking because it's messing with my lighting, but yeah, that's why I haven't read it. And the very, very last book on this list is Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. This is a brand new purchase, which is why I haven't read it. And when I say brand new, I mean this book isn't even a week old in terms of my library, my bookshelves. Library's a bit ambitious, it's bookshelves. So those are the 2021 releases that I own but still haven't read. I am somewhat disappointed by myself because there are 23 books on this list, which is a lot, and there is no way that I'm going to read all of them this year, but I am determined to at the very least make a dent. So I guess we're going to be using this as a sort of TBR, and we'll come back to it next year to see if I was successful. But in the meantime, let me know down below if you've read any of these books, if you've loved them, if you've hated them, any thoughts that you have on them, or if you are indeed like me and you have these books on your TBR and you've been waiting to get around to them but you just haven't done it yet. As always, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified when I release new content, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!